Open your cerebral cortex and shift your lobes into upper beta phase, because you are going to have Bitcoin knowledge transmitted directly into your vestibulocochlear. Your host at Bitcoin Knowledge is Trace Mayer, an early Bitcoin advocate since it cost $0.25, but this is not intended to be investment advice. A doctor of jurisprudence, but this is definitely not legal advice. And an investor in core cryptocurrency infrastructure, including Armory, BitPay, Kraken, and Mitagio, but this is not a recommendation of those services. Here, you get fed via direct mind download with pure and free Bitcoin knowledge.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast. We have a tremendous interview today. This is with Jason King. He's the founder of Unsung.org and also of Sean's Outpost.
Yep.
And so welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, so one of the things about Bitcoin is a lot of the people are very generous. They're very charitable, they're very generous, they like to help out, they've got this sense of social responsibility, helping other people who are less fortunate than themselves. And if I were to kind of pinpoint onto one specific person who's done so much to kind of lead that charge in the community, it would be you. Can you give us a little bit of your background? Like, how'd you get into Bitcoin? Like, what did you do with Sean's Outpost? And then we'll really get into the meat of it, which is this Unsung.org, which is a really, really cool idea.
First off, you're way too kind. But I got into Bitcoin in 2010. I've always been a computer nerd. And so 2010 makes me kind of an old person in the Bitcoin space. But I got into to feeding the homeless in 2012. And in 2013, when we had our first real price increase, when we actually broke the $50 barrier, everyone was just arguing over, whether this value was real or not, because how could this currency that only exists inside of a computer ledger actually have value? Sort of flippantly, I was like, well, look, if you send me a Bitcoin, I'll feed 40 homeless people with it, and then we can stop arguing over whether the value was real or not.
You can't eat Bitcoin, right?
And then so it was kind of an offhanded comment, and then I think we got like 10 Bitcoins like that first day, and there was sort of like, hey, put your money where your mouth is, Jason. And so we fed 500 meals that first week, and it was great, and we just sort of kept going. We figured that, like, at some point in time, the donations would just teeter off, and we'd figure something else out to do. Well, that's Sean's Outpost, and 164,000 meals later.
Hold on, 164,000 people? Fed that many meals?
Yeah, probably more than that, but I think we actually stopped counting around 164,000. And then we also run Satoshi Forest, which is a 9-acre homeless sanctuary in Northwest Florida, where it's a safe space to be homeless, and we actually have the best rate of graduation of any homeless shelter in that area. So we are getting more people off of the street from Satoshi Forest than any of the other organizations in the same area. And we're almost entirely funded by Bitcoin, entirely funded by cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I think sometimes a lot of people think like, oh, the homeless are mentally deranged or they're just lazy or whatever. I mean, I was actually driving up the Pacific Coast Highway once, and there was a guy kind of hanging out his gas can, and being what I was, I let him hop in. I'm going to take him to the gas station. We got to talking. He was like, oh, no, I just used the gas can. I'm just kind of bored and want to go for a ride today. And we got to talking, and sure enough, he was homeless. He lived in some barn, on some abandoned barn. He worked a full-time job at Jack in the Box.
Wow.
He had some challenges in his life, whatever, but I mean, he was still trying to be a productive member of society, working full time. I actually had talked to someone else and ended up being friends with them, and they'd actually gotten fired for being a whistleblower at their company.
Wow.
And then they got blackballed in the industry, and then they had a medical challenge, and next thing you know, they're homeless with 3 kids.
And that's the thing.
From a middle class, regular middle class lifestyle.
That's the thing we try to bring awareness to, is that there's a lot of stigma and there's a lot of sort of misconceptions about what it means to be homeless, and so many Americans they're just one missed paycheck away from being without shelter, and over half of all homeless have jobs. Over 40% of our homeless population are veterans. I mean, there's all of these things that people just don't think about, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person. A lot of people associate these are people with addiction problems or alcohol problems, things like that. And yeah, that's true, but I'll tell you, most of my friends that have an alcohol problem also have shelter. So they are good people, and and if you give them a chance to really get their life together, you'd actually be surprised at how well that can work. And so that's what we've been able to do at Sean's Outpost and Satoshi Forest.
Yeah, and something as simple as helping them get some food. When I'm hungry, I'm just so grateful that usually I can go buy some.
Well, and then people get caught up in things like, well, you should do jobs training, you should do all this other stuff, and that's true, that should happen. But if you're starving, I can't learn anything. You're not going to be able to teach me anything if I just want to eat. And so we try to take care of that.
Yeah, and it's really good. You kind of hone in like a bullseye, laser focus. We're focusing on getting people meals. So this unsung.org. Really cool. I passed by your booth at one of the conferences. You kind of pulled me aside because you know who I am. We've rubbed shoulders for a long time. You showed me it in like a minute, and it just kind of blew my mind, really kind of flabbergasted. So can you help people understand, what is unsung.org? How can they get involved? How can they participate? How can they kind of use this?
Sure. Well, the elevator pitch for it is that Unsung is Uber for feeding the homeless. And basically, there's $530 billion in food waste in the United States, and we have 49 million people living in hunger. It's literally the stupidest problem that you could have. And so what we do is we have an app that'll connect restaurants, caterer services, just people that have excess food directly with either homeless advocates that want to feed people or directly with the homeless to feed them. And so it's a simple app. You can just go in. If you have extra food, you just click a button, tell us how much food it is. We're going to geotag where that location is. It's going to come up on a map. People show up, pick the food up, take it to the less fortunate. That's the nuts and bolts of it.
And it automatically calculates your tax deduction also, right?
Yeah, so we actually can calculate, we're a 501c3, so donations to us are tax deductible. And you can write off the full cost of the food that you give us plus 50% of the retail value of it. So if you're talking about food that was essentially going to be wasted from your business, now instead of it being a liability and you having to pay for someone to cart it away, it's actually a tax deduction. So
it becomes an asset.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, reducing your tax liability.
This is a win-win-win for everyone that's involved in it. And inside of the cool thing is that we have a live feed that actually documents every meal that's fed on the platform.
Yeah, this is one thing that I think is really cool, is you're actually bringing a transparency and an accountability to where these Bitcoin donations are going, who's actually benefiting from it. You've gamified it. Can you go into that? Because I think that's critical, because, we see a lot of these charities and, you donate to them and, oh, great, you feel good. But at the end of the day, 60, 70, 80% of the money goes to bureaucracy.
Well, so the first year that Sean's Outpost was in existence, we fed 90,000 meals to the homeless. And we did it for about $120,000. And the second largest organization in terms of meals fed 56,000 meals for $1.2 million. So our efficiency level was just astronomical compared to them. But we didn't have, we were just asking people to take our word for it. We're like, hey, we're doing this a lot better. And we're like, this is stupid. There's a technological way that we can prove this so that there's a record that you're not judging us by how good we are at speaking publicly or advertising. You're judging us by the works that are being done. And so Unsung is what we came up with.
Yeah, so, how does this work logistically? Somebody signs up for Unsung, whether they're actually want to go and pick up the food and then deliver it, in which case they're going to get tax deductions based on how much they spend on gasoline or something like that. Or if you just have a lot of extra food, whether you run a restaurant or maybe you had a party and you have a lot of leftover food, or you're moving or whatever.
A great example is we just picked up a wedding reception, and the bride and groom were they're like, we don't want to throw all this food away. And literally their chef was someone we worked with, and he just jumped in, and we got a ping notification, and I just happened to be the one that went and picked it up. We went and had it out and delivered to the homeless within 30 minutes. And then so this newlywed couple has these great pictures of all of the food from their reception that was going out into the community and helping people. So it's very visceral. It's really connects with what's actually going on. And so that's we didn't plan on it like that, but it really does just get you involved in it. And we gamify the whole thing too. You can earn badges for the more meals that you deliver. You can earn badges for donating more food. If you do a lot in an hour, you can get the Speedy badge. It's fun. We've made a game out of ending hunger, and I think that's really cool.
Well, and it's also a way that you could sponsor these angels that are delivering the food, right? Because you actually get to see who's out there doing the work.
For sure.
And then I could send Bitcoin to them. If I can't go deliver food in Anchorage, Alaska, and Paris, and Sydney, but somebody is down there and is delivering the food, then I can like send some Bitcoin and actually sponsor them, which can help get them like transportation or pay for some of the gas or whatever it is.
For sure, yeah. So we have a leaderboard function that you can just look at, and then you can actually see, based on all time or this week. And currently we're only operating in Baltimore because that's where I live, and the homeless situation is real bad. That's where we've sandboxed everything. But we'll be opening up to about another 6 cities in March, and we hope to be open up to the whole world by the end of the year. And you'll be able to just go down to your neighborhood and say, well, who's doing good in my neighborhood? And just tip people based on the work they're doing, not on how good they are at speaking about it, but actually like seeing the work that's being done. And every person that's on our app has a Bitcoin address. You can tip that person directly. That's not Unsung's money. You're not tipping us. Like, you're tipping the people that are doing the work. It's just great. We're really happy with it.
Yeah, what can people do to get involved? Do you need any particular help with stuff? A lot of people listening to the podcast have programming skills or like other types of skills. How can people get involved? How can they help out if they want to?
Go to unsung.org. Like the first thing that's there is just sign up and like get on our list and start getting our newsletters for things. We always need technical help. We always need donations. You saw the app. The app looks
right.
great.
You got the mobile app, right?
Yeah,
the mobile app's really slick.
It's really slick. So Stephen Dack is our lead developer, and if you ever use Rush Wallet or CryptoKit, that's the founder, full creator.
Oh, okay.
Of
So he created CryptoKit and Rush Wallet. Nice.
He's killer, But it's time consumptive. We're building a good product that costs money, so like donations are our lifeblood. But it is a tax deduction if you want to donate to us. It's actually, we take Bitcoin, we take all altcoins through Shapeshift, we take credit cards. If you have to.
Yeah. Hey, do you get miles with the credit card?
Sure, yeah, do that. You just use the
bump up that elite
use the Coinbase Shift. Use your Zappo card. And donate.
All money is money, right?
Yeah,
50 cents.
Yeah.
This is really wonderful. Unsung.org. Thanks so much for being with us, letting us know about all the good that you guys are doing and how other people can get involved and really turn that liability, that expense of all this extra food, and actually make it useful and productive. Thanks so much for actually making the change happen, like being that change agent, making something work, because you're making differences in people's lives. 100,000 plus people that weren't hungry. It's really quite amazing when you think about the scale. Well, and yet this Unsung is a way that you can multiply and really scale that, where millions and millions of people, I think, can eventually be touched by it.
That's the plan, man. That's the plan.
Yeah, we've had Jason King, founder of unsung.org, and I'd highly recommend people to go take a look at it, figure out a way that you can contribute, because we actually make a difference. And I firmly believe that the more we give, the more we receive, and we can give of our money, that's fine. We give of our time, that's even better. We give of ourselves, that's perhaps one of the best things that we can do. This is a way that you can ratchet up or down, depending on what you can do to have that happen, and do it in a sustainable manner, like doing it kind of with a wisdom and order to it, so that we can actually see it scale and see lots and lots of people be benefited from kind of this steady and consistent dedication to helping our fellow people. So anyways, thanks so much, Jason, for the work you've done with it. And everybody, that's unsung.org.
Be sure to get a copy of the free Bitcoin Guide at freebitcoinguide.com. Got a question or suggestion? Record your voice at bitcoin.kn. Don't be shy. To help the show, share bitcoin.kn with friends, post about it on Reddit, and otherwise spam the interwebs. Your iTunes comments and 5-star reviews are very important to us. Please continue tuning in to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast, where we release interviews with the top people in the Bitcoin world. Now take some choline and let that Bitcoin knowledge consolidate.